Welcome to Regin Academy. In this video, we will examine the concept of real estate economics and how it relates to Regin's core business, that is, our development of smart solutions in building automation that are easy to configure, install, and commission. We will talk about energy costs, and you will learn concepts such as net operating income and discount rate, as well as what roles they play when a property owner makes their investment calculations. Then we will look at a formula that is used to calculate a reasonable property value, and finish with a hands-on calculation example to show how relatively small reductions in energy consumption can have a major impact on the value of a property. So, why is it a good idea to invest in energy efficiency in buildings? For starters, it directly relates to the climate issues of our time, where real estate accounts for about 40% of all energy use in the European Union. In our mutual pursuit of a sustainable society, this is a sector where efficiency and reduced consumption of energy makes a big difference. A building that uses less energy is simply more environmentally friendly without sacrificing a pleasant indoor climate. In addition, reduced energy consumption simply means reduced energy costs, and the sharp increases in energy prices in recent years have made the arguments for energy efficiency even stronger. Throughout the 2000s, the costs of, for example, electricity, water, and district heating have risen reasonably in line with the Consumer Price Index. But in 2021, the gap quickly became much larger. In other words, the cost of operating a building is today significantly higher in proportion to its revenue, which has become clear to companies and private citizens alike. If we continue along that line of thought, it takes us to the concept of net operating income, which is central to calculating the profitability of a building. Net operating income, or NOI for short, is calculated simply by taking a property's revenue minus its costs. Therefore, by showing that an investment will result in an improved net operating income, its profitability can be verified. Of course, all real estate companies want their NOI to be as high as possible. So, what costs does a property owner usually face? In general, the following factors are considered. Operations. This is a large expenditure item, which includes costs for heating or cooling, water and sewage, and electricity. However, operations also include repairs, taxes, building management, and other costs. Maintenance. These are costs for keeping the building in good condition, which involves work intended to forestall repairs, which nonetheless will be required every now and then. Tenant adjustments. Property owners continuously work to meet the needs of their tenants. This may involve accessibility adjustments, but also layout changes such as more office space or larger conference rooms. Property owners need to pay property taxes and so-called ground rent. A company seldom owns the site where their building stands. Rather, it is usually rented from a landowner, for example, a city or municipality. Again, revenue minus property costs yield a net operating income, a key variable when reporting property value. According to current EU directives, a property owner's annual report must provide a transparent view of the company's position and results. Net operating income excludes capital, interest on loans, investments and depreciations, and is more difficult to manipulate than other figures, since it can only be increased by raising rents and associated fees, or by reducing the necessary operating costs. Many real estate companies therefore choose to report net operating income as a separate section of their annual reports. This gives Regin a clear starting point where we can meet property owners and talk about how we can help improve their NOI, develop the property, improve net operating income, affect the property value. However, before we look at the calculation itself, we need to familiarize ourselves with the concept of discount rate. When considering an investment, one must determine a discount rate in order to make calculations or evaluations over longer periods of time. The discount rate is always established based on the return that the shareholder or investor requires and expects. Therefore, the discount rate must take into account the actual capital costs, such as interest rates on loans and return requirements, returns on other investments, and the risks that the investment entails. With these concepts established, we can have a closer look at a formula to calculate a reasonable property value. The property value, PV, is determined by taking net operating income, NOI, multiplied by 1 plus inflation as a percentage, I, divided by the discount rate, DR, as a percentage minus inflation. If we apply this formula to some given values, we can see how the calculation works. Let's assume a net operating income of 100,000 euros and a 5.5 discount rate in a society where inflation is at 2.5%. These numbers yield a property value of about 3,417,000 euros. Of course, we can also reverse the formula to make other calculations. For example, say that you want to increase your property value to 4 million euros. For that, we can change the formula to investigate how much the property's NOI needs to increase in order for the desired goal to be achieved. Using this formula, with the same values for discount rate and inflation, we can conclude that a net operating income of about 117,000 euros is required to achieve a property value of 4 million euros. As you can see, we only need minor changes to NOI to increase or reduce the value of a building. This means that any amount invested in energy efficiency will result in both a saving and an increased property value. Let's illustrate this with an example. Here we have a building valued at 2 million euros. The discount rate is 5.5% and inflation is at 2.5%. The property has annual rental income of 300,000 euros, with heating costs of 50,000 euros and other operating costs of 70,000 euros. This results in a net operating income of 180,000 euros. The property owner decides to invest in a modern control system from Regin, which makes it possible to fine-tune the operation of the building based on current activities. Reduced operating times, temperature and ventilation regulated based on attendance, and a smooth temperature control curve guarantees an energy-efficient building and, in turn, an improved net operating income. In our example, the property owner manages to streamline energy consumption and reduces heating costs by 20% to 40,000 euros. Thus, the net operating income increases to 190,000 euros, that is, by 10,000 euros annually. The greater NOI means that the property value rises to 2,340,000 euros, which is a 17% increase in value. Thus, the end result of the investment is both reduced operating costs and an increase in property value. Here, Regin has a convincing argument that investments in energy efficiency are favorable investment opportunities that go far beyond pure financial returns, since they also contribute to health, well-being and productivity, while also minimizing carbon dioxide emissions. Together, we strive to create energy-saving solutions for people's well-being in a sustainable future. Thank you for watching this video from Regin Academy.